Hey guys, Cockerpunk here. I'm Gordon. I was just watching one of my favorite old-time movies, which is the classic The Princess Bride. Um, Rob Reiner is one of my absolute favorite movie directors. If you've never seen the movie, this is Spinal Tap. It is probably my top three favorite movies of all time. This is Spinal Tap is among the best. Another great Rob Reiner movie. But besides my celebrity endorsement of Rob Reiner movies, I should move on to some real content, which is the old school gun I've got here for you. I actually have two. I figured I'd do these as kind of a combo show because they're really essentially the same gun. I brought you guys a gun from this family earlier called the Assault 80. They were all designed by the same guy who I'm forgetting his name right now, but he had essentially three iterations of this same similar spool valve type system, starting with the gun that I'm about to bring you right now. This gun retailed for right around what a mechanical autococker retailed for. They came out in, I want to say 98, 97, somewhere in there. They have some pretty remarkable features, and they're pretty bizarre compared to the guns we have today, which makes them perfect for the old school guns tour. The gun I wanted to bring out first is this gun. This is called a Nova 700. This was the base model of the Nova series of guns, so this series is going to be on the Novas. Now, it is obviously a right feed gun. Get that on the camera. Right feed gun. The stock guns actually came with a Euro grip, not the 45 grip that this gun has on it. But the Euro grip was comfortable, and it had a bottom line very similar to this. Now, this gun has a regulator in the back of the gun, and then the spool valve system in the middle of the gun. The thing that makes this gun unique is obviously this barrel shroud. Now, this just isn't a shroud, it's actually a functional part of this gun, in that the gun barrel actually reciprocates every time it fires, much like the Assault 80 did originally, before they went on to another thing. So this shroud both protects the barrel, and it also provides the pneumatic piston that pushes the barrel back and closes off the breech. So these guns have literally no bolt. They just have a pathway for the air to escape out of the spool valve. The trigger pull on these things is kind of unique. It's a slide trigger on here, and it's kind of spongy or crunchy, but you can actually get a reasonable rate of fire out of these. So these guns have a couple of remarkable things. Number one, the stock came with a brass barrel, which has lots of people who love brass very happy. They have the reciprocating barrel, and then the other amazing thing about these guns is they're incredibly low operating pressure. These guns literally will run input pressure right here. They'll run down to 100 psi or so, even lower. And for a 1998 gun, this is really, astounding. We didn't have guns like the Picadol around at the time. Now, I have another version of this. This is the Nova 700. So this is a mechanical gun where you're actually pulling a little three-way in the frame that is triggering the spool valve. And then the spool valve is cycling the barrel, and these actually operate from a closed bolt. So the barrel is back for most of the time, and it comes forward to accept a new round, then closes back. I'll show you that with this next gun. This gun, I couldn't get it to hold air. I didn't work on it for too long, but Major Tom sent this to me, and it didn't hold air. But his other one does. Right, shout out to Major Tom from TechPB, big time old schooler. I'm sure he's on MCB, but I'm not sure his name on there. Probably similar. MAJ underscore TOM, I believe is his name. I call him Major Tom in my head. That's just the name I have for him. He's had a lot of other old school guns. Now this is another version of the same similar setup. This is a Supernova ET. So they came out with the Nova 700, then they had the Supernova, and then they actually made the Supernova ET, which obviously stands for electronic trigger. Now this gun doesn't have a feed neck, but it is a vertical feed gun, unlike the right feed ones. The Supernovas were all vertical feed. It has this offset sight rail. Now, one thing to note with sight rails on the Nova, they may look ugly, but do not remove them. Do not remove the sight rail out of a Nova, because the screw that holds the sight rail onto the gun also serves a functional purpose inside the gun to hold the components together. So do not take that off. So this gun differs from the Nova 700 in a few different ways. Number one, the regulator is now mounted down here, right? So this is what is doing our regulation, and actually what is in the back here is a very interesting kind of expansion chamber. Let's see if you can hear this. I really hope that's picking up on the mic. If you can't hear it, it sounds vaguely like a maraca. That's because the back of this gun works as an expansion chamber, obviously because of the very low pressure and the fact that compressed air was in its infancy at this time. So most people are running CO2, expanding it out for lower pressures and to prevent liquid was a huge problem. And so the back of this gun is actually filled with beads, little metal beads to increase heat transfer and increase surface area, to work like an expansion chamber, not like a volumizer, like a true expansion chamber to get the liquid to boil off into gas. And so the back half of this gun is an expansion chamber, and then again the front, this is the spool apparatus. Now it works the same way. This gun has an aftermarket foregrip, unlike that one, which also adds to its ugliness. It also has an aftermarket barrel, which only has a short shroud, and the reason why I want this aired up is so that I can do this for you. Let me turn it on. Now, one thing that's interesting to note also is this gun is really quiet. It's much louder dry firing than it is in real life, and so the extremely low operating pressure on both of the Novas here makes them one of the quietest guns ever made. Easily. And the interesting thing is, again, this gun has no porting on the barrel. This gun merely has a muzzle brake porting, and these are some of the quietest guns ever made, easily. This gun has a solenoid up here, very similar to, it turns out, the Assault 80 solenoid. I actually want to say it is the same solenoid. If it's not the exact same model number, it is made to function the exact same way. It runs, you guys saw in the Assault 80, there's that solenoid bolted on the front block. That's basically this solenoid. So you're actually hitting a micro switch when you do this. The battery sits in the grip here, and the on-off switch is right here behind the pistol grip here. Let me show you. See, it's got a little on and off switch, so it's off right now. I can't shoot it. Turn it on. Now, here's another thing. Just like an autococker, it sits with the barrel out as long as I have the trigger pulled, then I let it come back in. Amazingly enough, the electronic trigger is not that much better than just the plain old pneumatic trigger, so I'm not sure what exactly their business model was with this gun, but yes, this gun is certainly very odd, very unique, and I had a friend who owned a few of these, so I actually have kind of some intimate knowledge about these guns. He loved them, I hated them. I shot cockers at the time, and I had a less complicated gun. Right, these things are kind of a nightmare. If you can avoid ever going inside them, that is my recommendation, because they're a nightmare. But they are very, very, very unique. Very, very unique old school guns. Let's make sure we're clear. Yep, okay. Good deal. They're very, very unique old school guns, and they're heavy, bulky, not terribly efficient guns, but very quiet. They have a reciprocating barrel, which really can't get any more badass than a reciprocating barrel style gun. So I absolutely adore Novas, even though I hate them. It's one of those love-hate kind of things when it comes to Novas. but they are the first in their generation of guns, which culminated with the Assault 80, and I'll actually bring you the midterm step between the Assault 80 and the Nova, which is probably actually the best gun they ever made, which is called the Mayhem. Major Tom, again, was nice enough to loan me a Mayhem. And I've actually played paintball with a Mayhem on a couple of occasions. So again, a gun that I have some intimate knowledge about, having used them and played with them myself back when they were new. So yeah, these Novas, definitely if you can find one working for cheap, they're very fun little guns, but never buy one as a broken gun because you'll never get it working again, I promise you. Otherwise, Novas, I mean, they're just so unique. They're in the, history of paintball. So, you guys have a good one, and next show is probably going to be that Mayhem show, unless something else comes up. So, stay tuned, watch Rob Reiner movies, drink Grain Belt, and you'll be like me someday.